Hey, welcome back, everybody. Y'all, breaking news. Y'all already know. I had to go live for y'all. I had to go live for this one because, again, if y'all new to Her Court, Her Rules, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. EST, we give y'all a well-rounded WNBA recap, right? And so yesterday in our weekly broadcast, we talked about what's going on with the Washington Mystics, right? We talked about the recent trades and the recent moves, right? And we was trying to figure out, like what's up? What's going on in Washington? Why would they make the moves that they made? So let's talk about it, y'all. Obviously, Aaliyah Edwards is on the move. Breaking news, breaking news. Before we break down the trade and talk about the rosters and figure out what's going on in Washington, let's pay our dues. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. And if you're pulling up, go ahead and hop in the chat. Let's chop it. Let's chop it. Hey, yo. Bruh, listen here. Aaliyah Edwards is off to Connecticut. Aaliyah Edwards is off to Connecticut. Um, if y'all are anything like me, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all by this because a lot has been happening, right? A lot has been happening in the W this last week. But moreover, right, let's just look at what's going on in the W right now. Let's look at the bottom three teams because there are some commonalities there, right? There are some commonalities in the bottom three teams. Okay, let's break this down. And I'm excited because it's a lot of stuff going on right now in the W. Positive things going on. Positive things going on in the W right now. Traded to Connecticut Sun. I'm gonna keep saying Aaliyah Edwards was traded to Connecticut Sun. What they received in return is JC Sheldon. All right. Now, first and foremost, I want us to take a look at the roster for Connecticut. Let's look at Connecticut and see what Connecticut is receiving when they get in Aaliyah Edwards. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Aaliyah Edwards' game, right? Aaliyah Edwards is a big, right? Go back in the history, go back in the database, go back to the YouTube videos of what she did while at UConn. So she is a big and she's moving over to a team that was guard heavy, okay? Guard heavy. And we're going to take a look at their squad. So look at the squad here with Connecticut, right? The roster has not been updated to include Aaliyah Edwards. So we're going to look at the roster as it stands right now. Okay, so they have a guard. I told y'all they're guard heavy over here, right? So when the first thing I see when I look at the roster, I see position G C G G G C forward, C forward, G G G, right? So it don't take a rocket scientist to know that they've been acquiring a bunch of guards, right? They got guards through the draft. They got guards through free agency, and they needed to make a move to beef up their bigs, to beef up that forward position. And that's exactly what they're doing when they go out and get Aaliyah Edwards, right? They're filling in the gaps. Look at all these guards. Guard. Anissa Morrow is a guard. She's a big guard. Okay. She's a forward. So she's that small forward thing, that position, but she's a big guard. Think of her like you would look at a Rakia Jackson. Okay. They are in the same class of big. They can play guard. They can play big. Right. So you have forward. You have Olivia Nelson Odota, center. Haley Peters, forward. Haley Peters is kind of new to the team. I think she was just acquired on a 7-day. You have Sanaya Rivers, guard. JC Sheldon, guard. And Torrey, guard, right? when you have all these guards, when you're looking at the roster, the management looked and saw like, all right, look, when we want to play in the West, right? We want to play in the West. Bunch of bigs over here in the West. You got to be able to protect the paint. That's what Aaliyah Edwards brings. Not only does she bring that energy and the defensive prowess in protecting the paint, but she has quick feet. She moves those puppies, y'all. So even when she is on the guard, because before I even get into that, even when she is on the guard, she can stick with that guard. She's not necessarily worried about, I mean, unless you Kelsey Plum or Kelsey Mitchell, the attack of the Kelseys, they blowing past anybody. Okay. So you need that big that can also play guard minutes and be that swing person on the defense that can pretty much check anybody. And that's one thing that Aaliyah Edwards can do. She is phenomenal when it comes to defense, phenomenal when it comes to the glass. If we go back and look at what she did last year with DC, really, I mean, she's a great player. I had no idea that based on how this season was going, that she wasn't really going to be in the rotation. Now, and here's why. We're going to look at the DC's roster, right? Because everything is still the same. No adjustments have been made to the roster. The trade is super, super fresh. So we're looking at DC's roster, right? And we see almost the exact opposite, right? We see a bunch of forwards and not enough guards. Georgia Amore is out. She has been out all season with the ACL injury. She tore her ACL during training camp, right? So we know March Madness ends at the end of March, right? She went really, really far. Well, not really, really far. They ain't go the Final Four, but she went a good amount of games in the March Madness, right? And then you have the draft in April, and then May is training camp. So in training camp, we lost Amore. We never got to see her even bounce a ball or take a shot. Unfortunate, but we know that she's gonna get well and she's gonna be back on the court and be their starting guard next season. Now, with the likes of Shakira Austin, and then with the new acquisition of Alicia Clark, you really didn't necessarily need Aaliyah Edwards. I mean, I don't think Alicia Clark is going to be here next season. I think that quite possibly she's either going to retire, or if you can get a job in the WNBA and keep the job. I mean, even if she's getting up there in age, she's 38, but hell, LeBron 41, ain't he? Or about to be 40 or something like that. So if she still got it and she can still get a job and stay on the roster, who am I to tell her that she need to go ahead and pack it up? No, you need to go here. You need to go ahead and get all the money you can get, okay, in the W, because every job is priceless. So that being said, they got a bunch of forwards already, and obviously they are getting behind Stephanie Dawson, getting behind Shakira Austin, and they still have Emily Inkster, right? Inkster. That last name is crazy. Try to say that last name 5 times in a row. They still have her, right? So they got forwards, right? And then obviously, Kiki. When you draft Kiki Iriafen, you telling us that you moving on from Aaliyah Edwards in the beginning. The moment you draft Kiki, they play the same position. So in my mind, I thought coming into this season, it was going to be a duo, right? Their big duo, similar to Chicago when you have Angel and you got Camilla. I'm thinking that, all right, they trying to, I see what y'all trying to do. They're going to have somebody who has the offensive lockdown with Kiki, and then a person who has a defensive lockdown with Aaliyah. But again, they both do everything, right? Kiki's game is a little bit different, or a lot different from Aaliyah's when it comes to how she scores and the multiple ways she can score. However, in my mind, coming into the season, I'm thinking like, boom, you got the best of both worlds. You got the best on the offensive side with Kiki, because she can pretty much get anything she wants. And plus, she came into the season super confident, not really worried about who was checking her. I mean, I done seen her put the ooh, on Asia Wilson. You feel me? That's a 2-time defensive player of the year. So come on now, 3-time MVP. What we talking about? I mean, we can do stat for stat. But I just thought coming into the season, that Kiki and Aaliyah were going to make a great combination. Now, throughout the course of this season, obviously she started the season kind of on the bench. She came out the gate a little injured, right? She came out a little bit injured this season. So those injury minutes that she sacrificed not being on the court, those minutes and moments went to Shakira Austin, and Shakira Austin has showed up and shown out this season. Now, Shakira all last season was battling with injury herself, right? So it's almost like, in my mind, from a GM perspective, that they went to draft Aaliyah Edwards, right? And Kiki, right? With the hopes of saying, out of these three bigs that we just drafted, one of them gonna turn up. One of them gonna turn up. One of them gonna be our offensive anchor. One of them, and hopefully that person is gonna be our defensive anchor too. But if not, out of the three, I can maybe shake out one offensive minded person and one defensive minded person. However, what they messed around and got with Shakira and Kiki, they got two people who can do both. They have two people who excel at a high level of not only finishing at the basket, but also creating their own shot, right? And then also playing great defense. So for this fact, when you look at the fact that Aaliyah Edwards was traded to Connecticut, it makes sense. It makes sense for both teams, actually, because again, you had Connecticut super guard heavy, and if y'all are new here, we just went over that, the fact that Connecticut is super guard heavy, right? And then Washington Mystics, they didn't have enough, they had too many forwards, so it was easy, right? So now JC Sheldon is going over to Washington, and what does that mean for Washington? They're picking up another guard, right? They kind of are down a little bit in guards. Shook Sutton has had some injuries as well. So when you're down that guard, you need to try to figure out what you're gonna do, how you're gonna build your depth chart with other personnel that's in the W. Looking at your roster, what can you part with? So they parted ways and they did an even exchange. Which here's the thing. I thought that was a little strange. Now we know JC Sheldon was drafted last year, first round, 5th pick, right? So you swap the first round pick for a first round pick. That's not technically bad. You know what I mean? If we just looking at the business of it, you got 1 for 1, right? However, maybe we haven't seen exactly what JC Sheldon brings as far as her entire game. We know what she brings defensively. We know that she's a pest. She's a hawk. She in your jersey, she in your grill. She not letting you move around as easily as you would have liked, right? But can she actually replace Edwards though? Can JC Sheldon replace Edwards? And that's the big question. But here is the answer. Absolutely. Why absolutely, Naj? Because defensively, they both kind of do the same things. Not with the same position, but how they play defense is about the same. Meaning that if they start a game knowing that my job is to lock them down, that's what they're going to do. We seen JC Sheldon throughout her collegiate career be one of those when it comes to defense. And she has a little size. She's 5'10". She's a 5'10" guard who has maximized her effort on defense. Nobody has to tell her, go out there and play hard. And in this W, especially this year, we have seen, I know y'all as viewers, I ain't the only one watching the game. And then sometimes you watch the game and you see, damn, ain't nobody playing hard today. One thing about JC Sheldon, you never have to worry about that. And you could say the same for Aaliyah Edwards. 100% effort, 100% of the time, right? So I actually love the trade. The Aaliyah Edwards to Connecticut Sun, I love it for both teams. Now, I'm gonna ask y'all right now, real quick. Get in the comments, and let me know. Obviously, the WNBA is moving to something new. Okay. I have been calling it the new right? The new WNBA. And the new WNBA is getting beside the youth movement. Okay. What is the youth movement, Naj? Y'all know what the youth movement is. Y'all see what's going on over there in Dallas, right? Y'all see what's going on over there in Dallas. Let me go ahead and pop the recent trades up on the screen. We had Brittany Sykes go to Seattle Storm. We had Dejanay Carrington go to the Minnesota Lynx. We got JC Sheldon at the Washington Mystics. We got Alicia Clark to the Washington Mystics. We have Carly Samuelson, who's injured, so she's not playing this year. She's going to the Dallas Wings. Now, I brought that up because the new W is here. The new WNBA is here. We could thank Caitlin Clark for that, and that's not a bad thing. Thank Caitlin Clark for the new W. It started the reshaping, the remodeling of what the WNBA is going to look like started last season. Thank Caitlin and thank Angel Reese. Thank them both. Thank them both. You know why you should thank them both, though? Because what Caitlin has done for the guard play and what Angel has done for the big play has changed the game. We might not see the change right now, but we're going to see it when we fast forward in the next 5 years. It reminds me of LeBron and Steph Curry. Both of these players are monumental to the NBA, right? Still to this day. To this day, they monumental to the NBA. When they both got here, their style of play between LeBron and his sheer athleticism, strength, right? That ability and his ability to get everybody else involved and level up the play, on court play of everybody around him, not just him. We talk about bums, schmums, and all of them, right? Made everybody step their game up. Look, make them look real good. Y'all remember Anderson Varejao, Delanova. Y'all remember these names? Probably not, because without LeBron, they ain't nobody. Respect though, because you know, they helped us get a ring. So at the end of the day, you have somebody like an Angel Reese who is changing how you look at bigs. She came into the league as a pure rebounder defender, right? Now she's a point forward, right? And I'm accrediting her as far as that point forward movement, because prior to her, nobody was saying that in the W. Of course, you had the likes of Alyssa Thomas, who plays a lot of point guard minutes being a forward. Yes, you have somebody like Breanna Stewart, who can play a lot of point guard or assist minutes being a forward. I can keep going down the list. Nafisa Collier, players like this. But Angel got people like, when I'm looking at Angel play and then I look at Asia play, sometimes I'll be like, damn, I wish Asia just go ahead and bring the ball down. Now, granted, she's doing that this season. She's just started doing that, right? But you can tell that the comfortability is not quite there yet. Now, granted, this is the 3-time MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody's worried about how she's building and elevating and progressing her game. She's definitely doing what she need to do, right? That's why she on my wall. Y'all don't see it, but she right there, right? But right behind me is my girl Angel, for that same reason, because the way that they elevate and level up their game during the season is phenomenal. So the new WNBA, to get back to the point, right? The new WNBA is the youth movement. We're going to see a lot of teams, especially those teams that are looking in the looking glass, looking up at the top 8 teams, right? We're going to see a lot of those teams trade for youth. So when I'm looking at this roster here, and let me make myself small again, because boom, we talking business. When I'm looking at this roster here, right? And I'm seeing the age, right? Okay, so Lindsay Allen. Okay, I don't care if Lindsay Allen was 22 years old. I don't think she got much game. I mean, that's just me. That's just me, right? Yeah, I don't know how she stayed on out of all the women who can't keep a job in a W. I'd be confused as to how she keep a job in a W. But that's beside the point. I'm nobody's GM. I am just me looking in the looking glass, and I'm not understanding it. Tina Charles, she's one of the most classiest vets ever. Not only is she super classy, y'all, she bought her business because every time she show up on the court, she already know what's up. And listen, we look at the stats. Tina Charles is still leading this team in points. Tina Charles is at this place in her career where being a point leader, it should not even be being a rebound leader. That's, first of all, it's a credit to her resilience, right? A credit to her consistency. She understands her value and she knows what she can bring night in and night out. So I'm looking at Tina, right? I'm looking at Hartley. If I go back to the roster, I know exactly why they went out and got Aaliyah Edwards. Because when you think of the future, y'all, we have to think of the future because this is the new WNBA. And the WNBA is all about, today, it's all about the youth movement. They are looking in the looking glass. They are looking ahead in the future years, right? They're looking at the draft. They are looking at the expansion, and they are trying to figure out, okay, not only who can we save from having this expansion take our valuable pieces, what are the players that we can save on our team, and what are the players that we can part with right now, get something something in exchange that we also need right now, right? And then how can we stockpile assets to be prepared for what's to come in the future? And what's to come is expansion drafts and free agency. And next year, damn near everybody gonna be a free agent, right? So you think, if I'm Connecticut, not only did I part ways with JC Sheldon, who is not really contributing on the offensive end, right? Let's look at her stats. I mean, she's giving you 7.5 points, almost 2 rebounds, almost 2 assists, 1 steal. Now, for you to trade away a person of these kind of stats, you're not really looking at points. You're looking at the intangibles. You're looking at you got somebody with a little bit more size, stature. You're looking at the fact that I can get 7.5 points somewhere else on this team, but I need help rebounding. That's where I need help rebounding. Our number one rebounder is your girl Tina Charles, right? But that's 5.5 rebounds, or 5.8 rebounds. So almost 6 rebounds a game is what Tina Charles is getting, right? And that's your stat leader in rebounds? No. So you need to go ahead and bring in some help on the glass. We can actually look at the team stats for real, because I want to see how this team stacks up in the rebound category with the rest of the league. So they're averaging 31.4 rebounds a game, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and just look at Washington Mystics, what their rebounds were. Washington Mystics were 34.1. Okay, so you got, all right. Y'all, my stuff is messing up. Okay, 31.4, and then you got 34.1 for the Mystics. Now, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go to the number one team in the W, which is the Minnesota Lynx, right? I'm going to go to the number one team in the W, the Minnesota Lynx, and look at what their rebounding is. Because when GMs make trades, especially when it's a 1-for-1, when it's a player for player, there are no additional picks, they're nothing. It's JC Sheldon for Aaliyah Edwards, 1-for-1, right? I want to see what type of advantages that they will have with the swap. Now, this is Minnesota, and I'm looking at their total rebounds. They average about 34.7 rebounds a game, right? As compared to Connecticut, they average 31.4. So off rip, this trade, just looking at stats, right? Just looking at why would a GM trade Aaliyah Edwards with a super upside for JC Sheldon, who also has an upside, right? She's giving you 7 points a game, right around 2 rebounds, right around 1 assist and a steal, right? What are you trading this for? Obviously, on your team, the Connecticut Sun has identified a weakness, and their weakness is rebounding. Their weakness is rebounding. So when you have that weakness in rebounding, you got to figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to bank your rebounding on potentially a JC Sheldon for her to pick up and try to get on the glass? No, you a guard. Now, unless she like a Russell Westbrook that can give you 10 rebounds a game, you're not looking for rebounds for JC Sheldon. I mean, she could possibly give you 3 rebounds a game, but she's only averaging right under 2. So you made the trade for glass, for paint presence, right? You made the trade for paint presence. Now, I just told y'all, we looking at the roster. I want to look at the roster again because the future in the W are the babies, right? The future are the people that have been drafted within the last 2 years. So you look at Anissa Morrow and you wonder, what can you do with Anissa Morrow and Aaliyah Edwards? How what does that look like now? Anissa Morrow and Aaliyah Edwards. Do y'all think that's gonna work? I think that's gonna work. It might not work this season again. These trades aren't for this season. Connecticut, if y'all don't know, Connecticut is at the very, very bottom. The very bottom of the standings. So this is not a we need to make a move so we can make a run. No, baby. This is not none of that. This has everything to do with who do we want to be next year? Who do we want to be next year? And I think they're showing us exactly who they want to be next year, right? They are currently 5-23. The last 10 games, they have won 3. Now, what does that even mean? You won 3 games in the last 10. You've only won 5 all season. Sound to me maybe they on the roll. I don't know. Let's look at their schedule. Let's look at it. Let's break it down. So they've lost to Phoenix, New York, back to back. They beat New York. So they had a back to back against New York. They split. They beat Golden State. They beat Seattle. They beat Atlanta, the Fever. So when I'm seeing this and I'm looking at the highs, right? Because the game highs are important as well. Mabry is a game high. Welcome back, Mabry. We missed you this season for real. I love Marina Mabry's grand game, man. Like everybody from Notre Dame, typically, I'm really a huge fan of them. Enrique, she dropped down for me this season. But usually, I'm a big fan of Notre Dame athletes. In general, too, because football, too. So, Mabry was the game high. Tina Charles, the game high, 17. Mabry, the game high, 18. 17, Charles, Hartley. That was a good game from Hartley. I remember that one. Charles, Morrow, Charles. So, first of all, they need some diversity with scoring. And JC Sheldon was never going to give them that, respectfully. JC Sheldon was never going to be a scoring threat. JC Sheldon gets a lot of her shots when other people like Tina Charles is being doubled in that kick out from the corner. She does move well without the ball, though. So JC Sheldon is great at cutting and things like that. I think she is going to thrive in Washington. I think JC Sheldon will thrive in Washington, mainly because of coaching. The system that they run over there in Washington requires a lot of movement. And so when you have motion, when you have a motion offense, people who are not stationary players, like people who are not waiting for the ball to get kicked to them in the corner, players who are not just sitting there waiting for somebody else to do all the work, they are going to thrive in that type of offense. So with JC Sheldon, the good thing about her is she ain't, hey, give me the rock, I'm open. But what she will do is back cut. What she will do is keep moving. What she will do is initiate offense through her defense, through her, like her, she just real pest. She a pest. So, through her tenacity on defense, she can generate offense. I look at JC Sheldon like a Dejanay Carrington type of player. All about energy. She's an energy player. So I think when you add a JC Sheldon to Washington Mystics team, it's a plus for them. Just like adding Aaliyah Edwards to Connecticut Sun. Now, obviously, we know the talk, right? We heard the talk about Connecticut Sun and how they potentially might be in Boston. We don't know. You know what I mean? That news was a little premature. Obviously, it seemed like they jumped, the owners over there in Boston. The Celtics kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Said, yep, Connecticut is definitely going to be in Boston. Hold on. You don't know where they're going to be at. Okay? We ain't, WNBA, we ain't authorized nothing. Y'all ain't did nothing yet. Y'all ain't fill out the paperwork. We ain't got no papers on that. So that being said, with the movement in Connecticut, it's got to be the youth movement. Look at the roster, right? You got Sanaya Rivers. I love Sanaya Rivers. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge fan of NC State. So Sanaya Rivers and Isaiah James, I've been cheering for them for the last 3-4 years. Cheering. Definitely 3 years. Okay? Because NC State and South Carolina games, or NC State and North Carolina games, right? Because before Deja Kelly made the move to Baylor, which I did not agree with that, Deja Kelly and Isaiah James, Deja Kelly and Sanaya Rivers used to get busy. I actually saw them live 2 years ago, getting busy. I went down to Raleigh, and Raleigh Durham, right? So I went to the NC State game. It was at Carolina, and they neighbors. So it's like the whole crowd was literally 50-50. You go in, I got on all my black and red because I'm repping for NC State. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to us. You feel me? But I go in to see a sky blue and I'm like, oh, it's tense in here. I feel the friction. So I'm watching that and I'm like, okay, I know Sanaya Rivers. She's going to be somebody. I already knew it. Her and Isaiah James stepped up big time in the March Madness, and they like the pressure. They love the pressure. You know what I'm saying? They want all the smoke. So looking at Sanaya Rivers, right? Looking at Anissa Morrow, looking at Olivia Nelson-Ododa. Come on, man. This is the new wave. Raya Marshall, this is the new wave. The Connecticut Sun, they are not the only team that are banking on the future. And I must agree. I'm with all that, right? I'm with all of that. I did not think they were going to move on from Brittany Sykes. But Brittany Sykes probably peeped the scene. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, respectfully, bunch of kids around me. I got to get on about it here, get around some grown women, my size, my age. I respect that. You feel me? And as a GM, I respect understanding the motion and the momentum of the WNBA. And here's the momentum though, because again, it's a youth movement. The new WNBA is right here, right now. They are planning for these draft assets. They are planning for the the rookies, right? The rookies and the sophomores to go ahead and be the face of the new era of the WNBA. And I'm excited. You feel me? Again, getting into the new wave, because obviously Connecticut and Washington are not the only teams almost dumping their vets to get younger, right? We already saw that Minnesota traded Diamond Miller and Carly Samuelson for Dejanay Carrington. And it makes sense for both teams. Again, this was a good trade too. I'm a Diamond Miller fan, watched her all in Maryland, and then just thought that, here as a professional in the W, injuries. So Diamond Miller hasn't really had an opportunity to prove herself. And I think at Dallas, she's definitely going to get that opportunity. So we are excited. I am excited specifically to see Diamond Miller suit up for Dallas to get the playing time that she deserves, to get to operate in multiple positions, similar to a Haley Jones, right? I mean, come on, if y'all watch March Madness, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, y'all know how much of an impact Haley Jones was at March Madness. So to have a Haley who's super smart and who can play those big guard minutes, right? She can push the ball down the court if necessary, especially if people get in foul trouble. We know certain select people, guards can get in foul trouble. We know that. We know Enrique, we know Paige, we know depending on how the refs calling it, it can get really weird. You feel me? And having those power forwards, small forwards that can really do both or not really worried about switching. Because again, the WNBA is moving exactly to where the NBA is moving or has moved, pace and space. So they want bigs that can space the floor, but not space the floor without being a threat. So for an example, right? Look at Las Vegas Aces, right? You got to look at the teams that have dominant bigs. You look at Las Vegas Aces, they have obviously Asia Wilson. The other big that was starting alongside Asia Wilson for forever had been Kia Stokes. Kia Stokes had become unplayable because of how the WNBA is shifting. So now when you have players like Asia stepping out further, doing more, handling the rock, and you look at somebody next to her who was her counterpart, who was her also her another anchor in the on the defense, who can't give you anything offensively, no threat in the paint, no threat in the mid range, no, definitely no threat from three. Although when they give Asia space, they gotta move Kia out the way because Asia likes to attack. You feel me? So if she get in the rock, mid range, high post, right? She needs space to make her moves. Me needs space to read the defense. She knows there's going to be a collapsed defense. She knows there's going to be help, right? So if you can't either get out of my way to be an offensive threat, I need you to be a viable threat here in the paint. And she wasn't, which is why they went on ahead and moved off that first round pick for Nalissa Smith. They made a right now move. The Aces aren't talk about differences of franchises, right? And franchises mentality. The Aces they are not a next year team. They are a right now team, right? So they make the moves right now to make sure that our team can be competitive. Now, we've seen, I'm saying competitive because we just saw one of the biggest blowouts this year, right? With the Aces. Okay. Now that blowout would have still been that blowout with Kia Stokes on the squad or on the court playing those minutes that she used to play because she can't score. She's just not scoring. So when I see other teams trading down, right? Trading down meaning they're not trading for the now, they're trading for the tomorrow. When I see the Dallas teams and I see the Washington Mystics and I see the Connecticut Sun trading down, aka trading for the tomorrow, not for the right now, I applaud them. I definitely applaud them because regardless of what Dallas had with somebody like Dejanay Carrington, you know exactly what you're getting. In my mind, there is no upside, meaning it is what it is. We know who she is as a player, and she's a great player. But one thing you don't know about Diamond is how she coming. You really don't know. And so this year, although obviously this year has been the best Diamond Miller that we've seen in the W, we still ain't seen the best Diamond Miller, right? And so I watched the interview with her being asked questions about the trade, about kind of what took process regarding the movement. This is her first time being traded. And so she was just like, at the end of the day, I'm just happy that I have an opportunity to show exactly who I am and what I can bring in the entire scope of that, not just come in to, relieve fee or to be a defender. Like, okay, we need Diamond Miller to get in the game. You check her. And y'all know, if y'all play sports and y'all played on a team and maybe the coach had a different vision for you, and that vision for you was minimized. It was a in the box vision. It was like, okay, we only need you. We know you can shoot. We know you can dribble a little bit. We know you got a little ISO game. We know you got all that, but we only need you to go out there and play defense. And so I think with Diamond Miller moving on from the Minnesota Lynx, going to obviously Dallas, I think that she gets exactly the space and the opportunity to not only prove her worth in W, but to remind us that the girl got game. She got, I mean, for real, she got real certified game though. I mean, listen, I wish I could play the highlights from her, because they playing in my head, but I wish I could play the highlights from her in Maryland. Unstoppable, single-handedly carried that team on her back, on her busy. You feel me? So, yo, man, I don't know, man. I love this trade. I love this trade for both teams. And one thing about the W that I'm seeing as of late, right, is that the trades that have been made are smart trades. Now we can go back and forth and ask, if do we think the Aces should have traded, should have went out and gotten Alyssa Smith and gave away a first round pick. I mean, we can ask that question, and we could debate to, we're blue in the face. The thing about the first round pick though is this: you have no idea what that first round pick is going to turn into. There have been plenty first round picks that are no longer in the W. No longer, right? So you can save for that first round pick. And what if the best option in that first round next year, or it was a 2027 pick? What if the best option in that pick that year was a guard, and you still need a secondary big? You feel me? So I think that for the most part, the trades have made sense around the W. You know what I mean? And we could debate them, but they make sense. This made sense. This for Seattle makes sense. So they parted ways with 3-time WNBA champion Alicia Clark, Zia Cook, who was immediately waived from Washington, which at the time when this trade went down, I said, damn, why they waive Zia? Like, damn, they ain't wait. But see, they knew out the gate they was already moving on from Aaliyah and gonna get JC Sheldon. So that's why Zia Cook got waived. Now, respectfully, Zia Cook is a guard, is a guard, more of a point guard, whereas JC Sheldon is not a point guard. You know what I mean? She's more of a shooting guard and just a combo guard, where she just gonna do the grunt work, right? Not a point guard. Can she play a point guard minutes by committee? Of course. Hell, Brittany Sykes played point guard minutes by committee, but JC Sheldon, she's not a point guard. So I thought that maybe Washington, obviously, since Amore is not here and Suge kind of had a little injury here, I thought that a point guard, that's exactly what they need. Even if they move away from her in the off season, I thought she would be valuable right now towards the end of the season. But again, we got to think like GMs, right? So if I'm a GM, would you have a player on your team who you have no vision for, who doesn't fit into the plan for the future? Even though this season is done, more than likely you're not going to make the playoffs, making these trades and movements. So the playoff picture for Washington Mystics, in my mind, I ain't no psychic, I ain't Miss Cleo, but they ain't in the playoff race no more, and they know that, right? And so when this happens, you think, well, Washington, they hanging their hat, they banking, they putting their money on the youth. And on the flip side, Seattle Storm is putting their money on the vets, right? Seattle Storm is putting their money on the veterans. So they moved away from Alicia Clark and adopted Brittany Sykes. Okay, you get a better scorer. Alicia Clark comes off the bench and she can get. I mean, Alicia Clark, she got three rings, right? So she ain't no bum. She ain't no slouch. And she knows how to fit into a system. Brittany Sykes knows how to stand out within that system, if y'all feel what I'm saying. She was averaging right before the All-Star break, which is why she became an All-Star, right under 19 points a game, right? So she can give you 20 points a game if she wants to, right? So if you get rid of a bench player who's not really contributing as far as our big picture basketball idea for our brand of basketball here at Seattle Storm. We thought in theory it may work, but in reality it did not work. So what you did was you upgraded Alicia Clark and went and got an all defensive WNBA player. Not to mention they call her Slim for a reason. She got a sneaky speed, right? She's slithery. Okay, she can get to the basket. She can stop and pop with the mid range. She got a jumper. She's shooting almost 40% from the 3-point line. I mean, you getting everything that you didn't have in Alicia Clark and then some. Plus, she's younger, right? Alicia Clark is 38, right? So we ain't ageist over here. If you a little bit more mature and got game, well, welcome to the fold, right? But Brittany Sykes, again, youth movement. She ain't a rookie, right? A sophomore. However, young, athletic, lean. I mean, her wingspan, like I mean, Slim got game. Slim got all the game, right? Youth movement for Washington, veteran movement, right? For Seattle. And then you pair her with, the likes of Skylar Diggins, and I mean, her and Skylar Diggins and Erica Wheeler. If all three of them are in the backcourt, lights out. You know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3, lights out. Lights out. But y'all came here for the Aaliyah Edwards trade. That was breaking news. She is on the move. She's on the move to Connecticut Sun in exchange for J.C. Sheldon. I'm excited. If y'all excited, let us know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Be sure to like and subscribe. Okay. And again, make sure. When y'all pull up to her core, her rules, I got to get personal with y'all for real. Right? When y'all pull up to her core, her rules, let me know what's up. Tell me what's up in the chat real quick. You feel me? Let me see if anything that I didn't cover today that I wanted to touch on in the news. Nah, for real. Like the last 2 days, we've been going live heavy. You know what I'm saying? We did a watch and chill or watch party we do once a week. And then yesterday we went live and did our weekly WNBA recap show. So I appreciate everybody for tuning up here for this breaking news. Very, very, very impromptu live right here on Her Core, Her Rules. It's your girl, Najah Lee. Hope to see y'all on the flip side. Peace.